This is my final CA for Big Data and Data Analysis. We were asked in the CA requirements to take the data given in the final project data.csv and store it in an appropriate database. So after looking at the data and seeing how it's laid out, I realised that, and as well the large content. So I think there's 1,000 students in it. So because of this, I decided to use MongoDB for my database. I found that from previous CA, MongoDB is actually really flexible. It's schemaless and has built-in functions like replica sets and sharding. So this is how I imported my data. I got this code online, and basically what it's doing is it's importing the Mongo client and CSV. So I'm initializing my client to Mongo client, and I'm setting my port on the localhost to 27017. I'm setting the database to the client and then the name of my database, which is final CA. The CSV file, which was the Excel spreadsheet that I downloaded, I'm telling this to open it, and this is the path that it will find it in. Then reader is csv.dictionary reader. That takes in my CSV file and the delimiter, which separates the data from. So it separates student ID 0 from student ID 1. And then this is a for loop to say for each row in reader, insert one row into my collection, which is grades. So the next task is to detail how the database I selected will allow for the addition of potentially different structured data from different modules and colleges. So for this, so obviously different colleges and modules have a different number of exams and different number of students and things like that. So Mongo is really flexible. It can hold up to 1 billion documents. It's also schemaless, which means that when you don't need to declare types or the table or the table structure or things like that, or variable lengths and stuff like that. You can just insert your data as it is. So then to detail how your database will scale when your solution takes off and every college in the world wants to use your applications to store and analyze all of their grade data. So Mongo has high scalability, which means there's two types of scaling. First of all, there's horizontal scaling and vertical scaling. So horizontal scaling is splitting the database or spreading the database across a number of different servers, spreading the workload across a number of different servers. And vertical scaling is so like things like adding more power or memory, so like stuff like RAM, or purchasing or adding more RAM or CPU and stuff like that. So then detail how you will back up the data contained in the database and provide high availability to servers that need to query the data. So first I created a Mongo dump. Then I actually tried to implement replica sets. So by doing this, I set up, I ran my replica sets across 3 different ports on my localhost, but it was on the same server. So it was on the one server. So before I done this, I created two new empty folders in my data folder. So in this, as you can see, the collections and stuff are already here. So that will be my primary member or for my replica set. And then I created DB2 and DB3, and these are both empty. So the line I used to implement these can be seen above here. So first I opened a command prompt window and I typed this in. So I set up my connection, which is MongoD. I declared the database path, which is going to be in my data folder, and this was the first one, and my DB, which is the folder that contains the data for my database already. Then I said I used the built-in function rep set, and I named it my repl set. I set the port to 27019, and then I opened another one and done the same for that one, and same again for the third one. And this is how it looks. So first of all, once I had my my replicate set up, I then had to go and create a config. So so my config is equal to my underscore ID, which will be my repl set, and then my members. So in my members, which are the tree service that I've already set up, or ports that I've already opened connection on. This is all running on the one server, but my ID is, I set my ID for 0, and the localhost port number is 27017, ID 2, the port number is 27018, and ID 2, port number 27019. This is the outprint then. Then I said rs.initiate, and then I passed in config, so it returned true. Then you can see here, once you do that, then you are I used rs.status, and this gave me the status of each of the members. So it just gives me the set, the date, heartbeat interval, but for each of the members you can see the health is 1, state is 1. So same again, health is 1, state is 2, and then health is 1 and state is 2. So you can see that the first one up here is my primary, so this will be my master. And once that returns true, then you go into in control of the master. So that's how I would go about my replica sets for backing up MongoDB. There's also other things like taking snapshots and Mongo Cloud Storage, but I felt it was necessary to implement Mongo Dump and replica sets.